Hey, Bruce. Sorry about the video. Hey, let me ask you if you just we know that Levante and some of those guys, Jack, coming off IR or at least got the 21-day window. Didn't see Cyril, didn't see some other guys. What's the progress today of those?
Yeah, the only guys that I wouldn't have practiced today was Cyril Grayson, Ronald Jones, and Anthony Nelson. The guys in the 21-day, they're just, it was a walkthrough anyway, so we won't know much about any of those guys anyway. But, I think Cyril and Rojo are doubtful. Anthony Nelson, got my fingers crossed. So, because he's been playing really, really good.
And the, forecasts change every day, especially in Florida, right? But looks like you could get a good bit of wind and maybe even a little bit of rain. How much, I know it'll affect the kicking game, but you've got one of the better bad weather quarterbacks, right? How much would that affect your passing game?
It shouldn't affect it at all. Depends, what kind of wind is it directed? Is it across the field? How bad's the gust? Those things do affect it. But that's one thing about Tom. He's played in a bunch of bad weather and a lot colder. So at least it'll be in the 70s.
Thanks.
We'll go to Greg Allman.
Hey, Bruce. First, just want to check with you on Anthony Nelson in terms of what he's dealing with injury-wise.
He's got an ankle, but we'll see how it is. We'll see how it is as the week progresses.
Sure. Hey, Bruce, I want to ask you just about first quarters, opening drives. It's something that both teams Sunday have struggled with of late, and just how crucial it is that you guys get out the gate in a way that kind of lets you control the game early on.
I mean, that would be great. The fast starts are always a luxury, but I'd much rather finish strong. And are they concerning? Not really, but it's a great bonus when you do, and especially when you get on that script and you go down the field, which we've done a bunch this year, going down to score. We just haven't done it recently.
Thanks, Bruce.
You bet.
Next, we'll go to Jenna Lee.
Hey, Coach, we miss seeing you in person already right now, but at least we got to go to practice and watch you guys in person, so that's good. You had mentioned the guys that came back. I don't know how much you actually had everybody do today, but I didn't know if you could share the progress, what Shaq was maybe able to do. I saw him; he had that knee brace on. What Lenny was able to do, what Levante was able to do.
Well, it was just a walkthrough, so they really don't know anything about any of them yet. We'll know more tomorrow.
Gotcha. Wasn't sure if you did any drills on top of that.
We'll go to Kevin O'Donnell.
Hey, Bruce. I know this it was a while back when you played the Philadelphia Eagles earlier this season. How different is this team right now? They got on a pretty good roll late in the year, it seems.
Oh, yeah, totally different. Playing with a ton of confidence. Won a bunch of ball games since we played them, and so once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. So they're going to be fired up. They got a ton of weapons, and they look pretty healthy. It's a totally different football team than we played back there in October.
Do you prefer playing a team that you've already faced during the season, or is it create some questions of trying to second guess them all the time?
No, I'm just happy we're playing. I'll play anybody this time of year.
All right, thank you.
We'll go to Ira Kaufman.
Bruce, long season, you got a lot of walking wounded, but Bruce, through 17 games, the standby, the reliability has been the health of the offensive line and Brady given time to throw the ball. So Bruce, in the second season, isn't that what gives you the most confidence going forward is Brady and Brady given time?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. And we got to have a running game too. I mean, it can't be one dimensional, but we've got to have a running game, go with it, and defensively getting healthy and playing a little bit better.
And Bruce, the first half of the first Philly game, they had 5 first downs, 73 yards. You're up by 2 touchdowns. They moved the ball in the second half, but Levante David didn't play in that game, Bruce. So how critical could his health be going into this game?
Oh, it's a huge addition if we can get him back out there. Just being an all-pro player, but also his leadership ability and everything that he brings would be a huge blessing if he can play.
Thanks, Bruce.
We'll go to John Ledyard.
Bruce, I'm just curious with Jason Pierre-Paul. I know that he sat out a couple games to end the year, and I'm just wondering, was that something that you thought could actually improve his injury situation, or like where he actually was playing without pain, or is he kind of in the same spot, just was an opportunity to get him a couple games off?
He's healthier. He's not totally healthy, but he's healthier than he would have been playing. So that was the plan all along, is to get him as healthy as we possibly could for the playoffs.
And for Richard Sherman, I know he's going to injured reserve. Will he have a formal role as a coach, or is he just kind of around helping out? What does that look like?
No, he's not a formal. He's still a player, and but he's been a great addition. I told him the other day, man, I'm so happy we signed him because he's been an unbelievable addition to our football team.
We'll go to Rick Stroud.
Bruce, I don't know how much work you did on him coming out, but what do you like about Jalen Hurts, who clearly is in a different place than he was when you played him in October as well?
Yeah, a great leader. Great leader. That's the one thing you heard everywhere he'd been since high school. He's a fantastic leader and an unbelievable competitor. And that's what you want as your quarterback, because people follow him. And when you're an unbelievable competitor, and he's a workaholic too. I mean, he's a gym rat type of guy. So there's so many good things about him, and he's throwing the ball, especially downfield, really real well right now.
We have time for a few more. Next, we'll go to Greg Auman.
Hey, Bruce, you guys had Tristan Wirfs mic'd up during Sunday's game, and you get a sense of the confidence and kind of the comfort that he's in just his second NFL season. I know you'd never take that for granted, but just want to ask you how steady he's been for you on the right side of that line.
Oh, yeah, tremendous. I mean, he's graded extremely high every single week, and still working on different technique things, but because he can get better. But yeah, he's been extremely solid, that's for sure.
We'll go to Evan Klosky.
Hey, Bruce, I know that you did a walkthrough today, but I'm just wondering what the vibes were like on the practice field today, maybe compared to what it was last year when you were beginning your playoff run. And if you can kind of sense that this is a different ball game now that the playoffs have begun.
No, there's no doubt. Yeah, I mean, as soon as everybody walked in the building today, 2021's over. It's a whole new season, and nothing matters except winning this week. And everybody's in tune to that, and you can feel it in the building.
We'll close out with a question from Joey Knight.
Coach, so much is made of Hurts, but what are your impressions of the other guys in their backfield, specifically Miles Sanders?
Oh, man, they got a hell of a stable of running backs, and Miles Sanders is one of the best there is. I mean, he's proven it over the years, but those young guys, boy, Gainwell and Boston, all those guys, they can tote the rock and they can catch it. That's what makes them very, very special. Yeah, they got weapons everywhere. I mean, this might be the best group of young wide receivers and tight ends in the game right now.
All right, that's all we have time for. Appreciate taking the time, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Rob, I didn't know if there was a message that Coach Arians sent you guys today, or that he delivered to you guys today as you begun your preparations for your first postseason game.
Yeah, make sure we're prepared. We got to go out there. We got to have good practices. We got to make sure we're doing our assignments, correct assignments, making sure, we dot the I's, cross the T's. And if you don't really know a play that well, get in your playbook and make sure you come back tomorrow with everything corrected if you messed up on something. So it's basically just get focused and just know your plays inside and out.
Could you feel a change in mood and energy with the team this week compared to previous weeks?
I mean, I feel like this team always prepares week in and week out throughout the regular season at a high level. And it feels like it's just going to be another high level week, that you're zoned in every minute that you're in this building and just focusing on our opponent and focusing on the game on Sunday.
Thank you.
Go to Kevin O'Donnell.
Hey, Gronk, now you've had a full season under your belt at Raymond James Stadium. What was the environment like this whole season long now that there's fans back in that building?
Yeah, it was a great environment this year, especially, that was kind of having my, first experience this year of having a full stadium at Raymond James. And the crew, they were awesome. The fans, our Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, they were amazing this year. They supported us like no other. And every single home game felt just, great to be out there. The energy levels were high. They were cheering from beginning of the game to end of the game. So just much love to them. The crew, our fans, sending much love to them and thank them for all the support that they've given us throughout the season. And let's roll it into the playoffs now.
You talk about having to lock in at this point of the year. Tom's always focused, hyper-focused. Does it change, though, for the playoffs with him? Can he raise it even a higher level?
I mean, Tom, the guy prepares, like last week's regular season game was was a playoff game. So he prepares, week in and week out the same. I would just say that, he's just bringing that laser focus this week, taking the preparation just up a notch and just making sure, everyone is on the same page out there, out in the field. And if not, get the corrections now during practice. So we're good to go for the game.
We'll go to Rick Stroud.
Hey, Gronk, there was a time there where at least we were very concerned, with the rib injury. You came back maybe a little too early, had to go out again. When you look at what you've been able to accomplish and really lead this team, I know nothing probably surprises you, but how pleased are you that you were able to be such a big part of this year?
Yeah, definitely. This year was definitely a successful year, successful season, for the team, for the organization, getting 13 wins in the first time in this organization history. And then, and then set aside, for myself, just a successful season, making plays when my number was called, getting blocks down, helping out the running back to make some yards. So just overall, I would say it was a pretty good season for sure. From team wise to, my personal, stance of my playing. But that doesn't matter now. The regular season's done now. We got to carry that into the playoffs now. We got to, if we want to win and not go home, you got to amp it up a notch. You got to make sure that you're on top of your game at all times, because there's a couple of times during the season where you're not really on top of your game, and then majority of the time you're on top of your game during the regular season. But now it's playoff time. You got to make sure that you're amped, you got the energy levels high, and that you're ready to go every single play, because every play is huge in the playoffs.
For sure. Thanks.
Go to JC Allen.
Gronk, you didn't play in that game against the Eagles back in week 6. What have you seen on tape so far? Or what has Tom showed you that he's seen on tape so far that presents a matchup problem for them?
Yes. They're a team, that has a great front four. No doubt they like to get to the quarterback. They play hard as a unit on the front four. And I would say that, they're smart football players in the secondary. No doubt about that. They play the game smart. They know how to work together as a unit on side of zone defense. That's huge. and they kind of play it safe. I would say more safe, out there. So you're not, throwing deep balls and getting a 50-yard play. So you got to go out there and you got to beat the team. You got to beat the defense. You got to actually put the work in, make the little plays, make a guy miss for, an extra 5 yards and keep, the chains rolling like that. So they make you earn it, no doubt about it. And you got to play smart football versus someone in order to move the ball.
In Tom's podcast on Monday, the Let's Go podcast, he said you're the greatest tight end of all time. Just what does that mean to hear someone of his stature? Obviously, you guys are very close, but what does that mean to hear him say that? And how does that make you feel?
It just makes me want to keep working. He said it before, but you got to keep working, man. That just makes me, stay motivated because in order to be, put in that category or even mentioned in that category, it takes a lot of work. It takes work every single week, every single day, mentally and physically. And on top of it, you got to keep improving, finding ways to improve. So in order, to just keep being mentioned in that category, especially from a player like Tom, I just got to find ways to keep improving every single week and just keep, amping up my game every week in order to help out this team.
We'll go to Evan Klosky.
Hey, Rob, just a couple questions. First off, you talked about getting amped up for the playoffs beginning this week. Do you feel that in the locker room? And is there a discernible difference between the vibes entering the playoffs this season with the experience of last year underneath your belts versus last year, where for a lot of guys around you, it was their first ride in the playoffs?
Last year was last year. It's kind of a year ago, so you don't really remember the exact feel of, the team. I remember we were riding high though off a 4-game win streak last year. But I mean, this year, I feel like, I would say that, guys are more prepared of what's going to, what it's going to be like. I would say it's just another game. I know it's a playoff game and you got to be alert, but I'm saying it's once you start playing, it's a game of football. It's not like, you're doing taekwondo out there now and it's the playoffs. It's the game of football that you're playing. You've been playing it your whole life because there is a lot of, hype, for the playoff games. And so when you get out there, you just want to make sure you're centered and know that what you've been doing all year, you just got to keep performing like that. So I would just say the alertness level this week, is high. Got to make sure that we just on top of everything and play smart football.
And just also, I don't know if you saw NFL Films. They released your game experience from week 18. Did you see that video? And, is there maybe an expansion of the song with Donovan Smith about taking a Millie to the city?
Oh, man. We were just talking about that, Donnie and I'm out there at practice today. And that was a good time. We were both talking. We weren't sure what we were going to say. We're going to, and I was waiting for him to say something, and he was waiting for me to something, and then we came up with the city. We going to the city. So I asked him what was really in his mind. He goes, "No, what was really in your mind where we were going to really go?" And I was like, "To the city, dog." But we'll see what happens.
We have time for a few more. We'll finish off with Sarah Walsh and Jenna Lane.
Hi, Rob. I know after Sunday's game, you had talked about the start and that you didn't like those first couple drives, right? I'm just curious, is there anything like as you guys are going through walkthroughs, any way you like put a premium on that, or what can you do? I know that it's been like a point of emphasis for you guys. So when you go to the practice field, what can you do to, I guess, put yourself in a position that you like that start better?
I would say, right when you hit the practice field, being on top of your game, right when practice starts, make sure you're prepared. You're not still warming up, in the first period. You're ready to roll. You're ready to catch full speed, run full speed, block full speed when you step out on the practice field. And then that will continue into the game. It's the best way to simulate, a fast start in the game is just, rolling out the practice and just making sure everyone knows their assignments and you're just playing fast football from the get-go, from the very first play, from the very first snap in practice.
And last question will come from Jenna Lane.
Hey, Rob. I talked to a few of the folks, some of your former teammates in New England, about some of these meetings that Tom would lead for like maybe 15 minutes the night before games, before your group team meetings, and he would lead them with a bunch of his different receiving targets. And I'm just curious, are you guys still doing that? And what are those like as you guys get ready for these playoff games? I know his attention to detail is just, he keys in on so much of that stuff. So I'm curious, you know, what those are like.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, once or twice a week, Tom, gets together with, the skill players, sometimes the offensive line, and you just said it, exactly how it is. It's to pay attention to the details, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page, that, the motion is exactly where it needs to be. Or the call is exactly the right call that needs to happen, So it's really just, getting that fine fix of just knowing every little detail of what's going on with that play. And that's exactly what it is when Tom gets together with the skill players or the linemen or whatever it is. It's just to make sure that there's just no mental mistakes, no dumb mistakes, so that you're not in the game like, dang it, we should have went over that. It's just so you can go out there and you can play clean football on Sunday and just make sure everyone knows their assignments to a T.
All right. That's all we have time for. Appreciate taking
Thank you,
time.
guys.
Perfect. We'll get started. Our first question will come from Rick Stroud.
Hey, Ryan, a year ago, a lot of your guys had never been in the playoffs before. Obviously, you're Super Bowl champs and all of that. What do you think you learned from that experience as a team going through that?
Yeah, I think coming in, last year, hardly anybody on the team had been in a playoffs situation. You learn a lot very quickly, and whether that be the added pressure or anything like that. But I think from last year to this year, at least from the way I feel, everybody's a lot more calm and not as emotionally charged as we were last year, which I think is a good thing. But obviously, coming into the game, getting our emotions up and ready to go is going to be huge.
Thanks.
We'll go to Greg Almond.
Hey, Ryan, we got to see they had Wirfs mic'd up on Sunday during the game and got to see kind of the confidence that he plays with, talking to you guys on the sidelines during games. I know he's just in his second year, but just want to ask you how reliable he's shown himself to be as part of the line that's played so well this year.
Yeah, I think the proof's in the pudding with him. He's confident. He plays a very technical style of football. He's a freak. That's just what he is. He came in last year as a rookie. I know. I remember doing an interview and everybody's like, "Oh, what do you think, Tristan? How is he going to do?" I'm like, he's 12th overall pick. End of the day, he's going to be a rookie. We'll see what happens. Obviously, he put a lot of those questions to bed early and has continued through last year, through all the way through this year, playing at a very high level and playing with that confidence. And it definitely shows.
Thanks, Ryan.
We'll go to Jenna Lane. If any media have questions, please raise your hand.
Hey, Ryan, I'd asked Rob this question earlier. I'm kind of asking a few people this. When you're preparing for the playoffs with Tom, he's already so detail oriented and locked into those P's and Q's during the regular season, but it seems like he takes it up a notch even in the postseason. What is that like from your vantage point?
Yeah, I think it just for everything, everything's, it's one or done. You either win or you go home. And I think having your attention to detail amped up even more is huge. And Tom obviously brings that. He's always very detail oriented, but it seems like, going through the playoffs with him last year and then obviously starting the playoffs this year, it gets amped up a little bit. And it's obviously worked for him in his career and worked for us last year. So that added little push and focus is huge.
I know he'll say a lot of things to skill players, make sure you have your head up on this play because I'll be coming to you on this one, or I might be coming to you on this one, or, there's no such thing as a dead route on this particular play. Does he ever do that with you guys in particular? I know obviously you guys have a lot on your plate in terms of protections and things like that. Is he ever giving you guys reminders in that regard?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that go on, for the communication between me and Tom, and then obviously the communication to the rest of the guys. But yeah, there's always small little reminders how we're going to do certain things, certain weeks. Most of the time, by the naked eye, you can't tell what it was or what the adjustment was, but there's always little things that we're trying to improve on and, pick up a blitz this way, or, not necessarily pick up a blitz, or, there's so many small, minute details that, he kind of reminds us throughout the week. And then usually on game day, there's not a ton of reminders, but every once in a while there's a little adjustment in game.
Thanks.
We'll go to John Ledyard.
Hey, Ryan. Gholston told us a couple weeks ago, maybe closer to the beginning of the season, that you guys a couple weeks into the season started like some extra Friday meetings, going over the run game and making sure everybody on the team kind of understood. Can you describe this a little bit, like without getting too technical, and I don't want to give away game plans or anything, but like what those meetings have been like, who started those, and how those have helped you guys?
Yeah, it was kind of a joint discussion between a couple of us. Obviously, Tom was kind of the one leading it. And what it is just making sure everybody's on the same page. It's just kind of a player only kind of reminder meeting on how we see things. And throughout the year, it's helped a lot and helped make sure everybody's on the same page, which is huge in football. Because if you have one guy who's not on the same page, most of the time you're gonna have a dead play. So yeah, that's really all it is. It's nothing, earth shattering that we're doing in there. It's just a little reminder period just between the players.
Thanks, Ryan.
We'll go to Kevin O'Donnell.
Hey, Ryan, what do you remember from the last meeting with the Eagles? Obviously, you jumped out to a big lead in that game and kind of let them crawl back into this game. But how different are they right now? And what did you maybe kind of learn from them back then that you can apply this week?
Yeah, I think, the first game we kind of jumped out on them early, and we kind of relaxed maybe a little bit on offense and took the pedal off the floor. But looking at them now, they're playing a very confident style of football on both sides of the ball. But their defense has always been playing throughout the year, has been playing really hard. Their front seven's very talented, and they have their interior D linemen are very stout, good players. Obviously with Fletcher, a perennial all pro, Pro Bowl type player leading that defense. So, they're a hard playing team. They play physical and play fast. So that's obviously always a challenge for any offense.
And how different is the playoff run going to be this year with fans in the stands? Obviously, you didn't have to deal with that last year, and you were able to play on the road without that distraction. But to have the first 2 games potentially here at home, how different is that going to be?
I think it's huge, from not having to travel, but having that energy in the stadium. It's amazing. I know every time we play at home, the crowd's always going hard for us. And going on the road last year, having no fans in the stands, it was really strange, and it was hard to get kind of your mojo and that energy out of the stadium. So having fans back in the stands, really all year has made the game a lot more enjoyable and a lot more energetic. So I think just having the fans is gonna make it a lot more energetic.
Go to Tom Akins.
Hey, Ryan, from time to time this year, pre-snap penalties have been a problem for the ball club. How can you avoid falling back into that trap for the first game of the playoffs?
I think it just comes down to focus. Whenever you have a pre-snap penalty, it's from lack of focus or lack of communication. So staying on top of communication and staying focused, honestly, takes care of that.
And last question will come from Sarah Walsh.
Ryan, Bruce was talking about earlier wanting to have balance and get that run game going. And I'm just curious, we haven't seen Leonard Fournette in a couple of weeks. You guys are around him. How confident do you feel like you guys can establish that and get that going out there? And have you had conversations with him recently? Like, is Lenny feeling good?
Yeah, I think, Lenny has been in the training room working his butt off and getting ready for, to get back and get healthy and get, come help us, win some more playoff games. Obviously last year going into the playoffs, we really established a run and played a pretty balanced style of football. I think getting back to the run game and doing what we're doing in the passing game is going to complement itself very well.
All right. That's all we have time for. Appreciate you taking the time.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Hey, Mike, a year ago, you, of course, had never played in the playoffs. A lot of your players had not, but you went on and won a Super Bowl, right? You were coming off an injury, but just what did you personally learn about postseason football that will help you do this again?
Oh, that is the exact same. I guess you can feel it a little bit. I mean, it's win or go home. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess guys play a little bit harder, but it's the same guys. I mean,
Yeah.
NFL game at the end of the day.
Thanks.
We'll go to Jenny.
Hey, Mike, I know you've gotten to know Darius Slay from your time at the Pro Bowl. What makes him such a challenging guy to go up against?
He's a pretty complete corner. Great size, really good speed. I played against him at Mississippi State.
Mhm.
When he wasn't even the best corner on that team, it was Jonathan Banks, my former teammate. He won the Thorpe Award, I think. Yeah. So, but he's always been a really good player. Definitely going to be a challenge.
And I know you guys just continue to be shorthanded at the wide receiver position with Cyril Grayson, the latest to be facing an injury. Could you take us behind the scenes on what it's been like in your room, having to get some of these other guys like Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller? We saw him a lot last week, and Rashad Perryman, who came to the team late, getting those guys ready and up to speed to step into such bigger roles.
I mean, they're all proven players. BP was with us. He knows most of the guys on the team already. So that was an easy transition for him. Felt like he never left, actually. I wish he was here last year to be a part of that. But, hopefully this year we can get it. But it's been the same. We've just been, working hard, and whoever's in is in, and they got to make plays.
Thanks.
We'll go to Greg Allman.
Obviously, you guys have earned the right to play at least the next 2 games at home. And that's been a big advantage for you personally. You have 14 touchdowns this year, 11 of them are at home, 3 on the road. Why do you think things click so much better? Why do you think you find the end zone better with that home crowd here at your home stadium?
I don't know, man. It's just how the games just pan out some years. Some years I'm better on the road. If you're looking at stats, I mean, some years I'm better at home. I mean, it is what it is. Depends on the game plan, obviously. I guess teams play us more man coverage at home. So hopefully we'll get a lot of man coverage this Sunday, but probably not.
Thanks, Mike.
We'll go to Rob Maddie.
Hey, Mike. There's an expectation for some weather, some rain, some wind gusts. From a receiver standpoint, how does that impact you as far as maybe – I know you never want to give up on a ball, but it may allow you to have play a ball differently?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if the rain is really bad, then, I mean, obviously it affects the receiver position the most. DBs start getting happy because it's hard to catch a ball wide open in the rain if it's really bad. But we're professionals. I mean, we played in Tampa. I've been here for a long time now. So you got to have the right gloves on or go bare hands. And you got to try to make the play.
We'll go to Kevin O'Donnell.
Hey, Mike, officially this is going to be your first playoff game at home. Obviously, the stands are going to be packed for the first time. Unlike the Super Bowl, I think it was 25,000. What do you anticipate the environment's going to be like, and what has it been like this year with a full crowd there?
I mean, it's been great this whole season, and I expect nothing different. Even better come Sunday. First home playoff game, and since probably I was in middle school. Like I don't even know what year it was. I probably was younger than that, but last year the Super Bowl was here, but that doesn't really count because they didn't have all the Bucs stuff in the stadium and things like that. But I'm really excited. We've been waiting a long time for this, and hopefully we can put on a great showing.
We'll go to Joey Knight.
Mike, I know it's a next man up mentality, and you still got a lot of guys in that receiver room, but the Eagles are going to put a lot of focus on you, obviously. I know you embrace that challenge, but how difficult do you think that challenge is going to be?
Oh, no matter who's in our lineup, I always get the most coverage. For some reason, even though we got all pro guys, Hall of Fame guys out there, somehow the attention goes towards me, and that's fine. But hopefully, I like the game plan this week. Been a lot of different spots, and hopefully I can make a huge impact.
We'll go to Evan Klosky.
Hey, Mike, just how nice is it to see so many familiar faces back on the practice field? You've been dealing with injuries all year long, and is there a sense of, hey, we might be peaking at the right time, getting this swarm of dudes back off the IR and back on the practice field?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're down some of our best players. Some of them are coming back, which is going to be a huge help. It's playoff time, and we need those guys.
We have time for a few more. Next, we'll go to Tom Akins. If any of you have questions, please raise your hand.
Hey, Mike, I know it's not about what the Eagles do, it's about what the Buccaneers do, but what are the boxes you guys need to check off to be successful on Sunday to take that first step in the playoffs?
I personally believe we got to be the most physical team. I mean, if we're the most physical team, it's hard to beat a team that's, being more physical than you and asserting themselves. So number one, we have to be the most physical team and be the smarter team. No penalties.
We'll go to JC Allen.
Hey, Mike. Shady was on the I Am Athlete podcast the other day, and he told the story about how Brady was sending leading up to the Super Bowl, sending you guys, tendencies of DBs and what they do. And you guys had started a side chat, just kind of laughing about how dialed in and like how impressed you were with Brady. Was that your first kind of in the playoffs moment with Brady, where you saw like this guy is dialed in, this guy is fully committed and knows what's going on to the point where he's telling you guys what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, he's the greatest football mind we've ever seen. And we definitely saw it last year from the start. I mean, we saw it from week one. In the postseason, obviously, it heightens a little bit, but he didn't do nothing like extra crazy. He was doing it the whole season. Just a little bit more when playoffs in the Super Bowl.
We'll close with questions from Kevin O'Donnell and Jenna Lane.
Hey, Mike, getting back to the weather conditions, possibly Sunday, I know they're calling for 70% chance of rain. You guys only had one rain game this year. It was up in New England, and the passing game kind of struggled. How do you prepare for a rain game? Can you prepare for a rain game when it's not raining the week leading up to the game?
I mean, I guess you could do wet ball drills. I don't know. I mean, I've done it in the past, but you just got to have the proper gloves on. Like the NFL has these really good rain gloves. They're okay. The ball's still going to be pretty slick, but we'll see. We'll see how bad it is. Hopefully it isn't raining the whole time, so it can be so we can really air it out.
Last question will come from Jenna Lane.
Hey, Mike, along the same lines of what JC asked about, what is it like preparing for these postseason games with a quarterback who has this maniacal obsession? It doesn't seem like any detail is too small for him.
What's the question? She's muted.
Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Sorry for that. Yeah, along the same lines of what JC had asked, what is it like preparing for the postseason, for these playoff games with a quarterback who has this maniacal obsession where it seems like nothing gets by Tom at all?
I mean, it helps us a lot, obviously. I mean, he's so detailed and he knows what's coming, a lot of the times, and he puts us in this position, allows us to play a lot faster. That's pretty much it. He's been detailed all year. And, he keeps it up during the playoffs.
All right. That's all we have time for. Appreciate taking the time, Mike.
All right. Thank y'all.
Get started. Our first question will come from Rick Stroud.
Hey, Will, this Eagles team runs the football as well as anybody in the league, and I think they've run it more since you guys played them. Is it Jalen Hurts that kind of creates all that space for Sanders and those guys? I mean, as a defensive lineman, what are you watching? Are you watching him, or what are the keys to stopping that?
Keys for up front, like the interior defensive line, we got to make sure we stay in our gaps and change the line of scrimmage. But with a dynamic offense like they've been having, they number one in almost all the rushing categories. But to have a quarterback like that, same as when we played him in the beginning, he's dynamic. He's great. And he does open it up for everybody. You got to be able to stop the run and the pass.
Thanks.
We'll go to Kevin O'Donnell.
Well, back in October, you guys jumped out to a 28-7 lead over Philadelphia and kind of let them climb back into it in the fourth quarter. What changed with them, or maybe what changed with you guys, and how different are they from that game back then?
Well, they got their rhythm. You know, they've been going on a roll in the rhythm. They know each other at the beginning of the year, I guess. You know, it wasn't the same. They had time to work with each other. They continuity, and the same for us. So I think it's going to be a pretty cool game.
Next question will come from Greg Allman.
Hey, Will, that first Eagles game, obviously, not only had they found their run attack at that point, but you guys were the number one run defense in the league. That's back when teams were barely trying to run the ball against you. I think Philly had 7 carries for 21 yards in the first half of that game. What do you think has changed in 10 weeks since then that teams are running better against you guys? And how do you get back to that on Sunday?
The way to get back to it is to just go ahead and follow our keys, stay with our fundamentals, and pursue and swarm to the ball. I think that's the only thing that we can do better is swarm to the ball and attack more, and everything will go into play.
Thanks, Will.
We'll go to John Romano.
When you're facing a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, do you have to dial back your aggression a little bit on the pass rush, as you were talking about before, to make sure that you stay in the gaps? Or is that dangerous not to be, to go in with the normal level of aggression going after a quarterback?
Actually, with any quarterback, you got to be able to have that happy medium of being able to rush aggressively, but stay in your pass rush lanes. And I think that we rush well together with all different type of groups that we have. And I think we'll have something formulated to be able to get after them, but also be cautious, not necessarily cautious, but be aware of where we need to be as far as our rush lanes.
We'll go to Jenna Lee.
Hey, Will, just curious, what jumps out at you when you watch Miles Sanders on tape? He just seems to have so much lateral quickness and the way he's able to get outside. It's pretty impressive to watch.
He runs it. He is running that thing. And I think the way they scheme their offense around him and Hurts, they got it going. It's something that we're going to be able to really follow our fundamentals and keys. I know I keep saying that, but it's really something we got to harp on is fundamentals and keys to be able to stop somebody because they both are explosive.
Thank you.
We'll go to Joey Knight. If any media have questions, please raise your hand.
Hey, well, last year obviously was the first playoff experience for a lot of you guys. What's different this time around? Is the vibe different? Is it more, for lack of a better term, more business-like this time around?
The mindset doesn't change. The mindset wouldn't change. I think the only difference is we definitely got fans in the stands, and it's a really good thing to be able to come home and be able to have this home game because we know the Buc Nation gonna have it rocking. So that's really the biggest difference for me.
Thanks.
We'll go to JC Allen.
Well, you've seen an uptick in your production as a pass rusher this year, getting those sacks on the board. What do you kind of attribute that to this season?
Trying to be consistent in the craft, just keeping it going, and then I'm working with some great pass rushers outside of me. So when somebody focus on them and give me a chance to work on my one-on-one rush and try to win, and I try to capitalize on that. So I got to thank the guys outside of me and next to me.
We'll go to Carmen next.
Hi, Will. Just wanted to say, first of all, switch gears a little bit. Congratulations on the Alan Page Community Award nomination. It's very well deserved, obviously. But it's my understanding the D-line is, they're launching the mobile food pantry, which is something that's going to happen, throughout the year. It's not just a one-time event. And it's my understanding that you were a huge driving force behind that. Can you talk about why?
We all came together in the group and we had some discussions about what we wanted to do because we usually do the D-line does Christmas. And one of the things that we wanted to do is really make a difference, not just for that one day or that one event, but something that we can spread throughout the year. And the food pantry really hit home for me because I know what it's like to not be able to eat. And if you well fed or you just fed in general, you can do a lot more than just having a gift. Nothing that it's not necessarily mean material, but just get the food in there so people could come in to support their groceries at least twice a month to come into the pantry. And I think that's huge.
Why was it important to do something that was kind of more long lasting than just one event?
I mean, I think, so to have the long lasting food pantry is something that we can create a longer lasting legacy, So with the D-line does Christmas and it rocked. It does, right? We got to still do that as well. But I feel like everybody can contribute. It's not just a D-line thing, but anybody can really contribute and keep that thing going and keep it rolling for more than 1 year. And it's something that, like I said, not having growing up the way I grew up, humble beginnings, not necessarily having anything to eat. And then being able to, I went to different soup kitchens when I was younger. So to be able to have something where you can go ride up in your car, pick it up. It's a little discreet. Nobody has to be in your business. Nobody has to know. You come and pick your groceries up. I think that's great.
We'll go to Kevin O'Donnell.
Hey, well, I want to touch on just the Jalen Hurts a little bit one more. Obviously, they run that read option a lot, and he can be dangerous with his legs. Is it important when you're facing a team like that is to keep that quarterback in the pocket to kind of force him to throw instead of run?
Well, it really depends on the defense that we call them, but yes, it is. Like I say, because they got a lot of RPO as well, like the read, zone read, RPO, pass the ball, quick slants, and all that. So I got to harp on it again. The fundamentals, man, the fundamentals will definitely take us a very long way in this game.
Thank you.
We'll go back to JC Allen. If any media have questions, please raise your hand.
Well, just wondering, you spent so much of your time here, your entire career here. What would it mean to coming into a contract here? What would it mean to finish your career as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer?
It mean everything, to be honest with you. I love it here. This is home for me. To be honest, even listening and talking to other guys who come in from different teams or left to different teams, I really wouldn't know what to do outside of this place. I know the community here. The community knows me. I know the staff. I know the building. I don't know. It's nothing even I really even think about.
Hello, Jenna Lane.
Will, you're kind of a late bloomer, and it seems like you've been playing your best ball the older that you've gotten. And I know some guys can get really discouraged when they don't have that immediate success right away and they're not getting those sacks when they're younger. Just what advice would you give to some of those players that are putting in their time right now and maybe not always seeing the results they want?
The best thing I can say to them is the same philosophy I have for myself. When you come to work, you just put your head down and you work. You don't need to worry about the results. As long as you put the same consistent effort or higher every day, you get better. And just because you don't see it right now doesn't mean it won't happen. So you don't count what reps you get. You make each rep count, and that's the only way you can succeed.
How meaningful has it been for you as you've gotten older? Maybe you're in a position to appreciate even more because of the work that it took to get there, that you had to take a little bit of a longer path.
Yeah, I've been working quite a bit. But like I said, I really don't think about it in terms of that. I just know make the opportunity count. You know what I'm saying? I might not get as many pass rush opportunities. So when I get a pass rush opportunity, make it count. And also play within the scheme. So sometimes I might not get the numbers, but as long as I'm doing what I need to do within the scheme to be productive in our scheme, it works for me. I don't really complain about that type of stuff.
All right. That's all we have time for. Appreciate taking the time, Will.
I have a good